Taranjeet Singh Hamra is the CEO and founder of AgTech Technologies, an award-winning venture capital-backed company which envisions a new world of agriculture and food value chain with the latest applications in technology benefiting all stakeholders of the agribusiness industry. After graduating from IIT Kharagpur, Taranjeet worked in the agriculture sector in India to understand its deep-rooted issues before moving on to study management at IIM Calcutta. Post his MBA, Taranjeet worked across the world in Europe, Middle East and Asian markets in investment banking, business intelligence and strategy consulting. He is also the council member of CI. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Param Singh. Param Singh is the founder and CEO of MooFarm, a strong advocate of social startups. He has won many awards, including Australia India Young Entrepreneur of the Year in 2013, Global Alumni of Australia in 2016, Australians Making a Difference in India in 2018, and many more. His first award-winning startup in Australia was acquired by an Australian public listed company in 2015. Already a super hit, his second startup, MooFarm, has received seed funding from Accel India and won a number of prestigious Indian and international awards. In 2021, MooFarm co-founders were awarded Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia Award. During COVID-19 lockdown in India, he partnered with Canva Force for Good Initiative and trained over 15,000 young girls in digital skills. Param is a recipient of prestigious scholarship from Stanford University in social entrepreneurship and received the 500 Global Prominent Personalities Award from Punjab government on Guru Nanak's 550th birthday in 2019. Next, I would like to invite Harkirat Singh Ahluwalia. Harkirat is a modern-day farmer working towards making farming look cool. A third-generation farmer, Harkirat entered the fray at a time when farmers across the north were going through tough times. After a lot of thought and research in 2006, Harkirat plunged into starting a homestay. It was modeled on providing an experience of living in a farmhouse with all the necessary amenities while giving an immersion into farming at his Citrus County orchard farm in Hoshiarpur. This venture was also awarded for its immense contribution towards the promotion of rural tourism through its innovative and modern agri-techniques. In fact, the Chief Minister, Captain Amrinder Singh, pointed that they have set a benchmark in farm tourism, besides motivating his peers to opt for rural tourism, which had, of course, a huge potential to transform the fortunes of farmers grappling with the agrarian crisis. So a big hand for Harkirat Singh Ahluwalia. He does look like a cool farmer, or a very unlike a farmer. And finally, I'd like to invite our moderator, Somveer Anand, to initiate and take the discussion forward. Somveer comes free with a coffee, or a coffee comes free with Somveer. Somveer Anand is the CEO and Mission Director of Innovation Mission Punjab. This private-public partnership is strengthening the entrepreneurial ecosystem in the region through its accelerator, pollinator, and investment fund. Prior to this, Somveer spent 4 years building Pind Fresh as a co-founder, a company focused on solving real-world problems of food contamination, polluted air, overuse of pesticides, and changing weather patterns by designing innovative solutions to these issues using hydroponics, cocoa beet gardening, and other high-tech solutions. He was also the co-founder of Who Farms, a ready-to-drink D2C health foods company that took pride in tracing 85% of the ingredients back to the farmer. He's an MBA graduate from the Indian School of Business and did his mechanical engineering at the Thapar Institute of Engineering and Technology. Thank you, Somveer, and over to you now.
Thank you. Wow, so we've got some of the best agri. Start with a personal story and then I'll open it out. The happiest I've ever been in the last 15 years was when I turned 40. Because there was no more pressure to be 40 under 40, right? I mean, it's not going to happen. And hence I thought, let's live the Chandigarh retired life and let's get into agriculture. Because all we saw the big farmers of Chandigarh do was play golf in the morning, play golf in the afternoon, play golf in the evening. It's when I got into the entire business, I realized the sweat is real, the tears are real, the heartbreak is real, what we hear about our ecosystem is real. It's really, really tough. So with a deep sense of gratitude, with a deep sense of amazement and a deep sense of respect for our farmers, I open this panel out. We've all been introduced by the moderator, so I have a couple of questions and I think it probably works best that way. Yep. So Tarun, we'll start with you. Why agriculture? I mean, for what reason did you say that I want to do something in agri when there was all these e-commerce sites coming up and people were making tons of money? Why agri?
I think I don't belong to agriculture fraternity or agriculture community. My 4 generations have been engineers. The reason that there are 2 images which actually forced me to think or rethink about how agriculture is to be done. There was one image of Mr. Jung, flower farmers from India are making a global impact. That really actually hit me immensely, because I really thought that agri is something where the scope is big and not much tech has kind of gone into it. That was my first thought. The second thought was when I was graduating from IIT Kharagpur as an agriculture graduate. That photo actually led me to choose agriculture at IIT. And IIT Kharagpur is the only which has a BTech in agri actually. So I went there and right at the entrance of IIT Kharagpur, it's a very large placket written as dedicated to the service of the nation. And we had everyone flying away to US and other universities. And I said that if I have studied agriculture, why should not I invest in agriculture of whatever faculties I have developed? And I think that was the 2 thoughts or 2 images which actually metamorphosed into a very deep ambition as well as a call to do something in agri. And I think the third image which kind of remains is when I picked up agriculture, I saw a farmer who waited for around 7 days under a bullock cart along with his 5-year-old son to just sell his grains at the mandi, and the buyer kind of broke his back by saying that this is bad quality and I won't buy it, and made him to sell at a very distorted price, and he just left after 7 days living in a bullock cart. So these 3 things kind of culminated into a deep passion that over the next, which kind of it's as if I started with agri, then I went into investment banking, consulting, and worked across 15 countries. But my only passion was, how do I come and solve this? So that is as simple as saying that all of these images were thrown to me to, as an option, whether you want to do this or you want to do some good job in the Wall Street or, in a McKinsey office or wherever you were saying. And I think I chose this, and I'm very happy to do that, because who comes back to agri? So I think that's the only point.
Thanks. I mean, that's you studied that field. You kind of did everything else, and like the alchemist, you came back and kind of are now revolutionizing a couple of really, really important things here.
We are trying to.
But same question to you. I mean,
so great, Tarun. I think for me, agriculture, I've been staying in Australia for the last 19 years now. Of course, sold my first company in Australia. Life was great. It was my love for milk, one, and I think my grandmother and woman. So we, of course, work in the dairy sector. in India, more than 75 million dairy farms or dairy farmers. Majority of the work in the livestock sector is done by women. I would say anywhere between 80 to 90% of the animal husbandry livestock is done by women. You will be surprised to know how many women own a cow in this country. Anyone has an idea how many women own a cow in India? What percentage of those 75 million women would own a cow? I'm sure your grandmothers have given you milk, your mothers have given you cow milk.
Less than 1%.
Less than 5%. I don't know exact because of course there's not much data. Yeah. So I would say even less than 2%, right? Women actually own a cattle. So someone who actually works 80 to 90% at the farm. All the hard work, like you said, the sweat, get up in 4 o'clock in the morning to milk a cattle. And they don't even own the asset. So, with a vision to come back to India to impact 100 million lives by 2030 was my goal. And I said, where do I start? And I, to be honest, at that time I didn't had an idea that we will be in the dairy. So I met these women, so I volunteered for Dr. Kiran Bedi's not-for-profit in rural Haryana. I didn't know anyone in Delhi, of course. So from Batala to Melbourne was kind of a journey, no halt on the way. And so when I come back, I requested, can I actually do like a volunteer role at the not-for-profit? And I thought, because women was right at the forefront where I wanted to make a change. So they said, okay, you can actually go and work at a not-for-profit with women in the self-help groups. So we did look at some of the data in the SHG, the self-help groups in the country, and at that time there were about 2.5 million registered self-help groups in India. Roughly about 30 million women part of the SHG at that time. So I thought, okay, we did a quick math, and of course I'm not really too good at math, but I said, okay, if a family of 4 or a family of 5, that looks like 100 million people by, and of course you can impact those lives by 2030. But those women, when we started training entrepreneurship to these women, we realized that everyone had a cow, and they had a problem around the cow. So be it milk, they had to go back and leave our training session, and my co-founder then also, and now Ashna, she came back from London School of Economics. I came back from Australia. I had my recent education at Stanford, and I said, we are here for you, and we are doing this volunteer role, and you have to go and feed the cow, milk the cow, you're not able to find a doctor, right? All these issues, what is this cow? And then, of course, we dig deeper and look at some of the data, 75 million farms. And I said, this is one common thing. If we can actually make even a slight dent in this sector using technology, we can impact 100 million lives. We see all these farms as like micro SMEs, small medium enterprises. So I think women was always there. Of course, it has come from my grandmother. She used to feed us 4 o'clock every morning milk, but she never actually owned a cow all her life. So I think we are trying now to build these women as micro entrepreneurs, own asset, have an offspring. Let the asset also produce for women, and hopefully have more financial independence. And of course, I think it's time that India should move from white revolution of the 1970s to the white tech revolution, or white revolution 2.0. So yeah, the love for milk, and I think we all must serve women in the agriculture sector, I believe. Yeah, thanks.
That's absolutely fantastic, especially the women part, which is also a focus for us. Harkirji, you had a very different problem. You already had something and you wanted to kind of make sure it worked to the maximum potential. Can you talk about that?
First of all, I'm very delighted to see light in Chandigarh, because Punjab, I think we've run out of coal. So there's no light. So the air conditioning is really a comfort level for me at this point of time. See, agriculture, I was born in a family of farming, where we only saw farming and how farming was done, and then we studied in Chandigarh. But I just knew farming. So I think that was the best choice for me to come back to the farm. And they say in Chandigarh, kids from farming background. They are kakas in Chandigarh.
Yeah.
But they, as soon as they go back to the farm, they become farmers. So that was one thing. Secondly, as you asked, why change in the concept of agriculture. See, my father was always very, we always saw that. Khushwant, my brother is also there. So he was the first guy to get drip irrigation in India in the, I think, 94 or 95. No one knew about how to save water, how to, so he got it from Israel. So, I always had that thing that we need to keep on improving with new technologies. So at one point of time when, I realized that we need to diversify now from our conventional farming. We basically grow citrus. So the only way to diversify was because I didn't want to go to a city or, to a metro city to work or, because we're not trained to work. So I basically diversified and set up a farm stay at my citrus farm, from where my main point was that we could generate some more income from the same farm by staying at the farm and working at the farm. So that was one of our main things when we started our farm tourism. So that's how we started,
So what we've kind of seen is three different people have come back to agriculture for three slightly different reasons. And so each of you has have their own unique perspective. So Tarun, let me start with you. I'm going to ask you two questions: vision for agri as a whole, and vision for what you are doing as part of that much larger kind of vision.
I think vision as a whole for the country. What is needed today is a step up, which clearly means that we have to move towards a place where we are getting into high value, which leads maximum results to our farmers. And also we are able to cater to the global demand, which means India is going to be the food bowl of the world, which we have never focused on. We have always kept focusing on keeping India to just keep surviving, just keep survival. It's time to step up through technology, through market linkage, to make India as the next food bowl of the world. With $50 billion today, I think the market is easily attainable of somewhere around $400 to $450 billion that our farmers can grow and export. That itself will bring around a sea change in the way farmers get their due to increase their income. Obviously, other things, infrastructure needs to be better so that farmers are able to double their income. Very secondary incomes. Yeah.
Can you give me an example of one infrastructure which you think is important for the region, the northern region? Let's just keep this in perspective. What is that one or two things that you think should be built here in order to let that happen?
Yeah. So look at the problem of, let's talk about Chandigarh itself, right? North of Delhi, there are 6 states. And out of the 6 states, 4 states, that entire movement of commodities passes through one tiny place called Zirakpur.
I was going to do a poll, but yeah.
Yeah? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay, it's okay.
That entire commodity passage of Jammu, Himachal, Punjab, Haryana, all that happened through just one place called Zirakpur. And because this has to go to Delhi, where everything is then, grown 10x and then again sent back to other states. How is this not an intellectual, disproportionate thought, where no one has even thought that why we take this from here and then again bring it back here? Why not Zirakpur or any place where, all these trucks coming from the mountains, there we create a large infrastructure for the government creates. And this serves all of these places. This is bizarre that, that it goes to Delhi and from Delhi again it comes back to everyone. And this is where no one has thought where is the infrastructure of let's say a flower grower in Punjab or a lychee grower in Punjab can do it, and then from there it can export it or take it to these 4 states itself. But I don't think that thought has come to anyone. Talk about dry ports. Ludhiana could become an export base, but no, we are still, just okay to just grow wheat and rice and then kind of, just package it, because the comfort of what has been imbibed is creating the whole, discomfort to the whole ecosystem. People have not kind of, imbibed what needs to be done. And so is the government, where infrastructure has not been provided, and that's where we are falling back massively. So the vision is build infrastructure, provide finance, which I think should be much better than what is being currently done. And because if that had been great, why are startups just kind of, minting money in just kind of enabling finance right now? Because there was a gap. There are at least today, 6 years back when we started, there were 6 or 7 startups in agri. Today there are 1,000. And these 1,000 startups, most of them have a business model where they are enabling finance. So if there was such a gap that 1,000 startups could enable finance, then where was the finance happening? And this is where we believe that, there's an opportunity to build a massive India story for the world, especially with what you see with Ukraine and Russia. The whole focus has gone towards India now. That can you grow? Because we don't know what will happen. And it's not a 3-4 month, it is a 5 years, 6 year thing that will continue. So the larger game for India is to be now own up, being the football of the world. And infrastructure, technology and finance needs to be provided, and all of the governments have to become more market savvy. For example, we are not in Kinnu. We started with huge, love. Kinnu hoega ji, ethe jayega. We went to Russia, we went to UK, UAE thode bahut hoye. Uske baad we are looking for market linkage for Kinnus now. This was such a great crop that could have been taken everywhere to the world. We have so many events happening, but we never had a single Kinnu international meet where Punjabi diaspora comes and gives orders for Kinnu. Then what is the government undertaking here? That it needs to be brought in, where, the Punjabi diaspora comes in. I mean, you do it by crop. There's so much opportunity for us. Pakistanis are selling to, Russia like crazy. Pakistani Kinnus are all going to Russia. There's hardly anything that goes from India. So I think this is where the larger game is the market connect. We have to be very big. I think the North Star target is very clear. Go from $50 billion to $400 billion. Everything will fall into place. All the infights about you have seen all that is just very petty fights that we have been doing. The game is much larger elsewhere, where nobody has given a thought, and that is where I believe that we have to build. For me, as you said, what is for AgNext? I think we are reading this very mathematically, not at all emotionally, because everybody asked me what will you do for farmers, and I said, listen guys, we are doing a Robin Hood strategy. We'll never charge a farmer. We are charging the businesses, and we are building the ecosystem where farmer pays for quality. Farmer gets price for quality.
So is that part of the infrastructure that AgNext is trying to build in this whole infrastructure?
Exactly. We are enabling transaction where a farmer gets its due for quality. Otherwise, if we are not quality conscious, that's what I call it, quality conscious supply chains. If we are not quality conscious, we will never be able to build, leave aside exports, sell it to the next state.
And I'm going to get Param into this. I mean, Param, your kind of entire business model is on increasing that quality. Now, I know you guys also have kind of worked together in the past. And the real good thing about milk is it can be done by landless, I wouldn't say farmers, but people who have very small pieces of land. And as our land gets fragmented as generations go on, and you would have seen, I mean, as you go down, the land holdings become smaller. So what is it that Move Farms is doing specifically to use that quality or to kind of increase that quality? And then is how are you building the infrastructure around it?
Yeah. So I think first I'll actually touch your first question. What's the vision for the sector? Right? I think again India, 300 million cattle in India. So we are, of course, because the largest stock owner of the cattle, of course, is also the largest milk producer globally. Our per yield per cow stands at roughly about 4 kg a day. Where is Israel today? More than 30 liters a day.
Wow.
Right. So I think the first, so the white revolution has many benefits. We had a flush milk, but our yields in 50 years have still stands at about 4 or 5 liters a day. So I think for us it's so important as a sector. We don't maybe need 300 million cows to produce the same amount of milk. 300 million cows are actually also contributing to the GHG. You will meet a lot of people globally. When I say I actually come from the dairy sector, so I'll talk about the dairy vision of the future, right? They hate me, okay? They really hate me. So you go to the Western world and say, you know, I look after the cows, and they hate you, right? Why? Because there has been a propaganda about the cattle industry, the dairy industry globally. Cow we see in India holy. You ask a Western, do they see cow as a holy? They see it and relate to the global greenhouse gas emissions. So India can actually produce far more milk with less number of cows. And hopefully the Western world will also see us that we are actually contributing to the carbon emissions and the GHG. So that's one. I think second big area for the dairy industry is the transitioning from that white revolution to white revolution 2.0 or white tech revolution as a sector. We need to make sure that the milk that we produce is of a quality. You ask the young people today, I keep asking young people how much milk you drink, because I used to drink morning, afternoon, evening, right? You ask the young people, and sorry to say, sometimes the young girls when I meet and I say, how much milk? No, actually milk is not good for health. And I said, I'm actually working for you in this sector, empowering more women for this sector. No, milk. Google, why cow milk is bad? Is in another parallel industry, right? Which now wants to build on the new consumer sentiment that cow milk is bad, and I can actually give you alt protein. There's an alternate protein. You can have a oat milk instead of a cow milk.
Almond milk.
Almond milk, right? Where does this industry has come? Some people look like. How many cattle we need in India? And do you think in India there are people or business houses who can actually put 100,000 cattle at one place? Is this answer yes or no? Maybe yes. Might to actually put 100,000 cattle at one farm. Let me tell you that. They have the financial might. They also have the will, I'm sure, Indian dairy. So our vision is, how do we make sure? So we are fighting a very tough battle here. So it's a global bet, and I do represent few forums. So we're fighting at a global level. We are fighting at a local level. And of course we're fighting these large, let's say financial institutions who want to make more money by saying cow milk is bad. So our vision is to ensure that we can go back to the consumer. So I think there's a dairy first, is to go back to the consumer and educate that the milk you are drinking from this particular farmer, they look after the cattle far better than an 80,000 farms. Those who have lived at a farm, I can promise my tati was able to name every single cattle at the farm. Of course, we only had 8-10 for our own milk, right? So she can remember. Channo, whatever,
Wow.
Rajo, whatever name you want to call, right? Can the owner of a farm who's got 80,000 cattle name a cow? They will say, tag the cow, right? You tag, like we also have won this Global World Bank Award on facial recognition of cow, right? But we want to make sure this sector survives, because so many livelihoods are dependent. And we want to make sure the farmers who have these 5, 10, 15, 20 cattle, they survive for the sector. So that's I think that's for the dairy sector, the vision is how do we do we partnered with companies like AgNext to ensure that what goes in the cattle is tested by the devices that AgNext has built. We can ensure the quality of the feed, the nutrition, the input that goes into the cattle.
So, so that actually leads me to 2 data points. The first is you had 8 cows to provide milk for home, 4 kgs, 4 liters a day, that's 40 liters of milk. This man drinks a lot of milk.
For sure. And I'm surviving. The good thing is this story can be told. I'm still alive for the sector, right? So milk is not bad. And I'm smiling, right? So even better, more sweeter.
So I mean, so from someone who lived in a farm and who's building fancy kind of equipment for, the equipment is built, the real quality testing is happening over here, the feeds are being built, because we went to see a feed making company, they just put nonsense in the animal feed. I mean, if anyone has gone and seen a company which makes animal feed, it's, some of it is just, I mean, I don't know whether, you wouldn't want to drink that milk if somebody's eaten that stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but I know the kind of work you do. So moving on to somebody who's currently living on a farm and is currently trying to build more sources of revenue from that farm. What is your reading on the entire farm tourism sector? Because we can increase better, we can get better quality, we can empower more people, but what are the alternatives way of people who already have farms to kind of make those profitable?
See, when you do farm tourism and you do farming, so both of them complement each other. I'll give you an example. Now, we've got a brand and we've established it for the past 14 years. So, our produce from the farm, like when we grow citrus like Kinu or Malta or other tangerines, so that fruit is sold at a better rate when we sell it under our brand called Citrus County. It goes to different hotels. It goes to, it's looked with a different way. I mean, the quality is the same if I sell it like my farm name also. But when you sell it under another brand, it becomes much more, we call it, the snob value comes in it. And what you're selling for 15 rupees goes for 50 rupees again, right? So I feel it's time that the farming sector needs to relook at how they have to market themselves. Like, you know, it's like a farm will need to be looked after with a very precise kind of approach. That you have to plan your farm now. Not just grow and okay, jo aayega dekhi jaogi. Because if you don't plan your marketing, like for example, I'll tell you why people go for wheat and paddy. People go for wheat and paddy because marketing is not a problem. The government lifts it up. Jinni tusi produce karoge, government will take it. But the challenge is that what harm we are doing to the environment. Like for rice, Punjab is not the place to grow rice. Look at our water levels. It's gone to 550 feet, which was 300 feet about 10 years, 15 years back. So see the harm which we are doing. So it is faster we diversify from farming. Like he had just mentioned that we need food chains. Yes, the answer to farming is processing. If, for example, we talk about oranges, right? So if I eat 2 oranges, my stomach is full, but if I drink a glass of juice, I am fine. But that glass of juice consumes 6 oranges. So the processing is the key to farming. And for example, dairy farming, that I'm just mentioned in Australia. In fact, I was speaking to a cousin of mine in the morning. He's into dairy in Australia. He produces cottage cheese there. He's the second largest producer. So he was saying, I'm having a big problem of procuring milk in Australia at this point of time. It's just 30% less production of milk because of, I think first there were floods there, and then first the drought came, then the floods, then the Chinese took away a lot of. So he says it's a big challenge for us. So it's a big challenge everywhere, you know. In India, I think people are very fond of milk in India. But if that milk is processed, like a cold coffee. Like Starbucks sells a cold coffee for 400 rupees. Yeah. So why not, our government helps the farmers, or like Amul, look at Amul, what an organization, Well, that is kind of an example which is all over the world in dairy. So I think processing is the key to it. Now coming to farm tourism. See, farm tourism is a very good way to help the society also. It is just, I always believe that when you do something in business, you also have to make it sure that it helps other people around you.
How much money can we make off tourism in Punjab? I mean, farm tourism.
It depends how good you are, how well your whole concept is, how well you take care of people.
So let's compare it to Rajasthan. Can we make more? Can we make as much as them? I mean, how much do they make? Some numbers for the audience. I mean, if you have.
See, Rajasthan is a very organized sector in tourism because they've been known for tourism. They have nothing else. They are known for tourism, and Punjab is known for agriculture. But tourism has great potential in Punjab, which I feel the government has not been able to tap. And now the awareness is coming. Look at Amritsar. Amritsar is crazy. They're falling short of rooms. And someone was telling me today that there are another 5 big chains of hotels coming up in Amritsar because of the demand. But Punjab can be really presented in a way where you can make fantastic circuits here. Like farm tourism is, one of the best policies of the government is the farm tourism policy in Punjab because it's a very farmer-friendly policy. This gentleman sitting here, Mr. He is also an Ahluwalia. He met me at the entrance and he runs a farm stay as well near Chandigarh and he is farming. So it helps to increase your revenue. And as I said before, that it complements each other. The farming and farm tourism complement each other. I'll give you an example. When the pandemic came, we were, that came in March 2020. 19?
Yeah, 19.
19. And, we had just started our new farm stay called Firdaus. And it was just 3 months old. And we had very encouraging sales, and we had the whole of April was full with a lot of British clients. But because of this pandemic, everything got cancelled, and we, in good faith, we had returned all the money to all the travel agents, and then we were shut for 2 months, band, because March 15th onwards, I think we were shut. But we did not tell any of our staff members to leave. We kept them, we paid them full salaries, and after
Fantastic.
I think 2 months it opened.
Fantastic.
And we were able to, it was very tough, but at the same time, the farming helped us pay our salaries for the farm stay. So it complements. When your farm is not doing well, your farm tourism revenue saves you at the farm. So I feel a lot of farmers can gain from it. In fact, small farmers can also gain from it. For example, if a 10-acre farm holding guy wants to do, मेरे को आंदे ने बड़े पूछने लिखे की करिए जी. So I always tell them, मैं क्या तुसी करो काली ना करियो बस. Because farmers, it's a habit that, including me, that we want everything to happen very fast. But that's not possible. It takes time. So I always tell a farmer that if you are doing conventional farming, for example, you're doing wheat, then you're doing some makki, and then you're doing some paddy. What if, for example, you make 50,000 rupees an acre through these 3 crops? After all the... See, Punjabi farmers have this habit, there's no hisab kitab. That enne lage, enne wapas aaye, there's nothing. So whatever they feel ke aa gaya, that is their profit. So if they're making 50,000 rupees a year out of 1 acre, I guarantee them, if they do farm tourism in a conventional way or in an aggressive way, they can double their income at least if not double, double, at least they will be much better off than just farming. So I always encourage, I tell the government also, I said, you are losing so much of revenue out of tourism. I've been saying this for 15 years to everyone, that Punjab needs to really focus on tourism, and with the revenue, it is not just the farmers will make money or individuals will make money. The government makes money with it. The kind of collection, the revenue collection for the government is always going to be much better, and their dependency on other things like excise and all will go down with tourism. So I feel it's very encouraging for farmers as well as other people to do this kind of. I was very encouraged to meet Sardar Saab. He says, "Mera farm bada vadiya chal raha hai, and I'm doing better in farm tourism." Yes.
But I think you should also the marketing. Look at the brand that he has built. I just also Rolling Hills, right? And the kind of logo, right? You can see how farmer can actually market.
Yes, marketing is very important. I remember there was this farm owner who ran a farm somewhere near Faridkot. So he came to me, he said, Paji, ki kariye hone nu? So, ਉਹਨੇ ਨਾਂ ਸੀਗਾ ਮਾਨ ਮੱਖੀ ਫਾਰਮ. ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਯਾਰ, your farm is very good. I mean, what a place he had. I said, you just need to make it into Man's BI or something, you know, to make it more encouraging for people to come. He changed it, and he's getting a lot of guests coming there. So farmers don't know they have so much of potential. They have. Now I'll give you an example. One farmer came to me. He says, मैं की करा जी, मेरे को पैसे है नहीं इन्हें लाने. मैं कह तू ऐसा कर. You set up a place. मैं कह रोटी दा वधिया खिला सकदा ना तू लोकां नूं. कहंदा बहुत वधिया. मैं कह घुमा सकदा फार्म ते. कहंदा बहुत वधिया. मैं कह ऐसा कर, make bunk beds. उन्होंने एक hostel type बना दे. जो जरूरी नहीं है कि you have to charge what Taj charges. Charge 700, 800, 900 rupees per person. But which ही रह जांदा कईयां दा.
Absolutely. So now I'd like to open it up for quick questions in case somebody has. We've got one there. Can we give you want to keep this mic here?
And have seen a lot of good growth and potential for the farm. So the question is again, why it is bad or good for India, and how do you rate the agitations and everything with your vision to help farmers? I work with Adobe, and the question goes for Tarun. Tarun, I have worked with the likes of Olam, the biggest agricultural companies, and they are doing contract farming across the globe in different formats. And in India, we have seen all these agitations and everything. So, in order to improve the lifestyle, or let's say the revenue of a farmer, what are the benefits or drawback do you think are there in the contract farming, which I have experienced firsthand as an IT service provider to Olam, and have seen a lot of good growth and potential for the farmer. So the question is again, why it is bad or good for India, and how do you rate the agitations and everything with your vision to help farmer grow the quality food? How do you align that contract farming for India?
Is it good or bad actually? It's not about contract farming, it's about contract. What is the contract you are making? That is more important than the contract farming per se itself, because is it over a period of time? Is there a buyback guarantee? Is there a certain provisions that you are doing for input? Olam takes care of that in multiple countries with certain inputs and thresholds defined for each one of the contracts that are done. What is the farmer's fight is about, you know, what if the quality is there, not there, or what is the hedging that I am doing if I get into this contract? That is the biggest problem. It is not about contract farming per se. Contract farming is just a means for market linkage, right? An assured market linkage which everyone wants. The issue is with the contract, which is dubiously not created the way it should be. Sometimes, and most often, I would say yes, it is not created in the way that it gives the much benefits to the farmer. The reason being simple. The whole process of procurement or consistency is every year you need to reduce the procurement costs. That is how a sustainable corporate kind of moves ahead. So every year certain things have to come down, and that puts a pressure on the whole community per se. But whether it is good or bad is not my question. The question is not my answer. My answer is about how clear those contracts are and what is the infrastructure you are helping to build, because the farming community is then committing that leaving aside every opportunity they are getting into it. After some time if you leave, then what is it that they have left with when they have built that capability as well. So these are the kind of things I think which are more important for us to address rather than the whole question is contract farming right or wrong. I don't think it is wrong. It is very right, and I think it should be more flourish. It should flourish more across the globe. But I think it has to the parameters along which it needs to be brought in, that has to be redefined. It cannot be the same 40-year, 50-year-old the way it has been, and that's what is all about fair trade. That's what is all about fair quality, fair price to farmers. So that's my point. The second question on the farmers agitation, what do you want me to answer on that?
No, that's fine. That was you answered.
I think we had a question that's it. Yeah.
From Promote, we are a branding agency. So when you were talking about the marketing and all, at the top level internationally there are lobbies. In USA there is a wheat lobby who come to India and promote their products. And then there are many lobbies like the almond milk lobby that you were talking about. So in those things we cannot do much. But in branding, you tell us how we can reach you. We always want to help agriculture in specific, but we are not able to reach the decision makers as such. We have gone through the PAU, we have gone through other agencies, but never to the real farmer. So can you tell me a path or a marketing campaign of sorts
Sure.
we can reach the decision makers?
So I think
And we want to make it as less costly as possible, because it's not our main work. We work in blockchain technology. So, and how it can be applied to agriculture.
So I think one person
Decision maker, like let's say for example Taran at Agnes, who may you may work with Agnes, maybe Jitesh sitting here from MoFarm, who can actually, you can work with him in technologies, our CTO. So your question is, how do you reach out to the decision makers in the organizations or the farmer?
I think if I can kind of just reframe that slightly, is that when you go abroad, you have somebody selling California oranges, right? You have somebody selling Chiquita bananas. You have somebody selling.
Yeah.
Okay. Why can't we do something for Punjab kinnus, for example, or Punjab?
No, not
Punjab wheat, sir. Punjab wheat is so sought after in Mumbai or in South. Punjab wheat is very much sought after. So that is that is a separate question. But as a branding agency, if you think the logo does a work of a logo, if the business model is good, the logo will work out, right? But we can make that logo also as a free service.
No, my suggestion is maybe, and I think the question is quite broad, but I think my suggestion is, let's say if you want to reach out to the decision makers, now that can be an association, a body, a not-for-profit, a corporate, a startup, a farmer who's running a farm, tourism, right, those decision makers, right? My suggestion is, I think you should definitely meet right?
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
I've been following him for 10 years.
Exactly, because he is I am Punjab, right? In front of you. Now he was telling me right outside, and the great initiative by the team, they have more than 100 startups. Now, this is the person I think, and this is one body for startups.
I've got
right?
an appointment now.
An appointment list.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And so I'm sure that in India is one country where sometimes I'm surprised everything is there, but sometimes we can't find it, right?
You can't find
so,
it.
But,
Just
so
counting
maybe,
during the
yeah.
week.
Anyway, I think we'll make it.
Qualitatively.
So maybe make it short, but I think, yeah, for sure, that's one, you can
Absolutely.
Thank you.
See, I feel branding, one thing is for sure in branding.
But let me rephrase that by saying that he already has built a brand. He's
Yes.
built an unbelievable brand where you now equate Kinnu's with Citrus County.
But my brand took me 15 years also. You have to see that. So what I'm coming to is that if you're doing a good job, if you have a good quality of whatever you want to establish, at some point of time your brand will be recognized and accepted. I'll tell you, when I started my farm tourism, our brand, no one knew about it and no one knew Punjab. No travel house took us seriously. But at this point of time, we are amongst the top travel agents all over the world. And we do special farming groups from different countries where farmers come and stay with us in a group of 20, 25 to come and see how farming is done. So you have to basically just work around a strategy.
The entire model should be viable and the experience
Sorry
should
to
be
interrupt.
good.
Yeah, I was wondering if I think we will.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know, should I do the thanks? Because I don't know what to say. This is fantastic. I mean, you guys are going to be hounded by I Am Punjab, right? Because we really need...
We are passed on there.
Yeah, so we really need this kind of expertise when we're trying to build out the entire state, and our state is in trouble. I think we all know that. We really need this kind of expertise when we're trying to build out the entire state, and our state is in trouble. I think we all know that. So thank you so much, Tarun. Thanks so much, Paraman. Thank you, sir, for being here. Kirti.
Thank you so much for doing my job. Thank you so much. And that was wonderful.
Let's give the.
I'm sorry, I have to sort of cut it short. So if you have any questions, just very quickly, I would like to invite Mr. Gurmeet Chawla to facilitate the speakers. Gurmeet Chawla is the Managing Director at Master Portfolio Services Limited, Chandigarh and Cannes, and a member of Rotary International since 1998.
Sir, right? Wait. Wait, sir. Wait, sir. Wait. Wait, sir. Okay.
I would also like to invite Mr. Hirdesh Madan to facilitate the rest of the speakers.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Madan is a serial entrepreneur and co-founder of Bullseye, India's leading test preparation portal. He's a member of CII HP State Council, former chairman of Young Indians Himachal, and a charter member of TIE. Additionally, he is the board member of Government IT at Women and the advisory member at Tech Incubator NIT Jalandhar.
Sir.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks for
Thank you, Ji. I have probably used your services.
Yes, sir.
More than anyone else.
Wait, sir. Wait.
Thank you. Thank you. Come, sir.
Thank you so much, Madan sir.
Come. That was fun.
Thank you, Ashwin. Thanks for this lovely
Thank you.